Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tessie and today we'll be learning how to make a drape skirt. If you're yet to subscribe to the channel, kindly do that and let's get right into the video. So the first thing to do is to draft out your basic skirt pattern. As you can see, I've drafted mine and I have my front and my back pattern. So what we'll be doing now is working on the front part of the pattern. So I'll go ahead now to take out the back. So I'll be needing two pieces for the front. As you can see, I've gone ahead to cut out my front and I have two pieces for the front. So I'll be working on one part of the front. So what I'll do is open up my pattern, and on the left side of my pattern paper I'll be coming down by 7 inches. You can come down by 6 or 7 inches. So as you can see, I placed my tape at the waist. I came down by 7 inches, and from that 7 inches line I'm just going to be curving in my hand. Make sure you cut across this center line, come in and curve. So you can use your free hand or your curve ruler to curve. So for me, I'm just using my free hand and I'm just trying to blend it in. So after doing that, I'll go ahead now to cut out my pattern. So we are done with one part of the front. As you can see, this is what it looks like. So now we'll be cutting the other side of the front. So for the other side of the front, I'm just going to open up my pattern. So I'm just going to place this pattern. You need to note that this pattern is the one that will be underneath this new pattern. I don't know if you understand what I mean, but for now I'm just going to place it on top. So you know, when we are drafting out this first pattern, on the left hand side I came down by 7 inch and I curved. So now we are going to be curving this on the right hand side. So now I'll go ahead to take this out. So what I'll do next is, on the right hand side at that hip area, I'm going to be curving in my hand. Just watch what I'm doing. I'll curve in my hand and I will be stopping at that middle point because I don't want the distance between the two patterns to be wide. I don't want it too wide. So I'm stopping at that midpoint. In case you want yours wider, you can go in the more. But for me, I will be stopping at the middle point of my fabric. So as you can see, this is what I have. After doing that, I'm going to be taking out this part. So after doing that, this is what we have. As you can see, like I said, I don't want mine too exposed. That is why it is looking like this. In case you want it exposed, you can go ahead to trim it out the more. So as you can see, I've gone ahead to label my pattern, my right side and my left side. So now we'll be draping the right side of the pattern. So I'll take out the left side. So now to drape, what I'll do is, at this side of the pattern, I'll be coming in by 1.5 inch. So I'll come in by 1.5 inch all the way down to the end of that part. So as you can see, I'm just chalking 1.5 inch, 1.5 inch. You can come in by 1 inch, but I choose to come in by 1.5. So after doing that, what I'll do now is I'm going to be using my ruler to connect the line. So from that 1.5 inch, I'm just going to connect it all the way down to this end. So I'll do the same thing for this other part as well. So just watch what I'm doing. So after doing that, I used my marker to make the lines visible. So what I'll do now is just slash out my pattern. So as you can see, I'm just trying to cut out the pattern. And when cutting, do not cut to the end. Stop somewhere before the end of the pattern. So you do the same thing for the other sides as well. Do not cut to the end. Cut somewhere before the end of the pattern. So after doing that, this is what we have, as you can see. But in case you are adding a lining to yours, before slashing, make sure to cut out your lining using this pattern. But I won't be adding lining to mine, so that is why I just slashed. So guys, after doing all of that, we'll go ahead now to cut out our fabric. So guys, with me here, I have my doll face fabric. This is just a tutorial I'm doing for you guys, so that is why I'm using a doll face. So in case you want to make yours, you can use a silk or a crepe or a duchess or an ankara for it. Now to cut out your fabric, you'll be cutting at the right side of the fabric. So place your pattern on the right side of the fabric. So as you can see, I've placed my pattern on the right side. So I went ahead to pin it down and I'll be cutting it out. So when I get to this part, I'll be leaving half an inch for folding allowance since I am not adding lining to it. So after cutting out my pattern, this is what it looks like. So we'll go ahead now to cut out the other part. So like I said, your pattern should be placed at the right side of the fabric. So as you can see, I'm just trying to spread out my pattern. So go ahead, spread out your pattern. It depends on how full you want your drape to be. So for me, I'm just going to be working with what I have here. So as you can see, I'm just trying to trace what I have. So So after tracing, I'm just going to blend it in. So in case you don't want yours as full as mine, what you need to do is from this point, go ahead, chalk 1.5 or 2 inches. After chalking that point, place the pattern on it this way. Then you go ahead again, chalk 2 inches, place your pattern, and you chalk 2 inches, place your pattern. So that is how you do it in case you want your drape a bit smaller than mine. But for me, I am going to be working with what I have. I want it as bold as possible. So what I'll do now is cut out my fabric. So like I said, in case you do not want your drape as bold as mine, give 2 inches gap and then place them, sketch it out and you cut. But I want mine as bold as possible. So after doing that, this is what it looks like, as you can see. So at first it's going to be looking funny, but when you are done pleating, then it will come together just like this. So what I'll do next is cut out my back pattern. So as you can see, I went ahead, I cut out the back and I opened up that zip allowance area. After doing that, I went ahead to notch the zip line. So what we'll be doing next is stitching. So for this part, I'm going to be stitching this part. So you can use your bias or lining, but what I'll be doing is just folding. So I'll just fold it and stitch all the way down to the end of the fabric. So after doing that, I'll be working on this side. So before draping, what I'll do is stitch the down part of this fabric as well. So go ahead, stitch the down part before draping. So after stitching the down part, this is what it looks like, as you can see. So now I'm just going to drape. So what I'll do now is use my pin to hold it in place. So I'll leave some allowance at the top part of the fabric because I'll be adding my band to that part. So as you can see, just watch what I'm doing. I'm just going to use my pin to hold it in place. So I'll go ahead to gather it the more. So make sure when gathering, you're going to gather up to that 10 inches we chalked. You know, initially it was 10 inches, that's the hip line. So make sure whatever you gather is up to the hip line, and the hip line was 10 inch. So as you can see, I'm just going to use my tape to check if I'm on the right track. So I'm just going to adjust it a bit so that I can get my 10 inches. So after getting my 10 inches, I'm just going to hold that part with my pin. So make sure whatever you pleat, make sure you get your 10 inches. That's your hip line. So I have my 10 inches and this is what it looks like, as you can see. So what I'll do now is stitch this part just to hold it in place. So after stitching, this is what it looks like. So what I'll do now is I'm going to place them together. So I'll go ahead now to place the right and the left side together, as you can see. So I'm just going to use my pin to hold it down. After doing that, I'm just going to be stitching. So I'm going to be stitching the top part and the side just to hold everything down. So after doing that, this is what it looks like, as you can see. So what I'll do next is join my front and my back together. So I've gone ahead to join the zip area for now. That's for the back. So what I'll do is I'll place the front and the back together. So I'm just going to hold it down with my pins. After doing that, I'm going to shape my skirt. And after shaping, this is what it looks like. As you can see, it is looking very fine. So what we'll be doing next is at this zip area, we're going to open it up because we'll be attaching our zip to it. So what I'll do now is check what I have at this waistline in order to cut out my band. So I have 34.5 inch. So I went ahead to cut out my band. So my band is 4 inch, unfold is going to be 2 inches. So I'm going to place my band on my fabric, as you can see, and I'm going to run a stitch on it. So after doing all of that, this is what I have, as you can see. So what I'll do next is fold the down part of my skirt. After folding the down part of my skirt, so what I'll do next is attach my zip at the back side of my skirt. After attaching my zip, I'll show you guys the end result. So guys, this is the final result of the skirt. This is what it looks like. As you can see, in case you want your slit higher, you can go ahead to make it higher, or you can also turn this skirt into a gown. It all depends on your preference. Hope this tutorial was helpful. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, drop a comment, and please follow me on Instagram at Sew with Tess. For now, I'll say bye.